Part 29. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 281. Chapter 281 Good People. Really, Grandpa and Grandma are watching Yi in the sky, but they can't come back because Grandma and Grandpa are sick. Don't you always know that it will take a long time for grandparents to go to the doctor and come back, but Yi is so sad. Grandpa and Grandma will be sad too. Is it difficult for Yi to want your grandparents to worry about you? Zhang Xiaoxiao knew it was wrong to lie to others, but Bai Yi was only 5 years old. No matter how much you say, she won't understand. Only when Bai Yi is older can we explain it clearly. After hearing this, Bai Yi immediately shook her head. No. I don't want my grandparents to come back. My grandparents are sick. They are so sick. Grandpa coughs all night long. He pretends that he is fine. I saw Grandpa coughing up blood. Grandma can no longer go to the fields. I am worried to death. Now they can go to see a doctor. I'm very happy. I don't want my grandparents to come back. They need to take good care of themselves, and I will wait for them to come back. I will be obedient and will never get into trouble. Bai Yi has a maturity that is not hers. This is a choice and concession that only adults can have. Attachment and concern for loved ones. Qifen at the door wiped her tears. Although we didn't get along with this child for a long time, these words were really painful. My parents-in-law did not raise this child in vain. This child is really close to his grandparents. Come in with a rice bowl. Yi, come and have a meal only after you have eaten enough. Can you be strong enough to wait for your grandparents to come back? Come on, my second aunt has made noodles. Come on. The child will follow the couple from now on. Qifen wants to cultivate a harmonious relationship with the child, but she cannot take the child back. The house is full of chaos every day. Bai Yi hugged Zhang Xiaoxiao and never let go. Her eyes, expression, and movements seemed to be afraid that Zhang Xiaoxiao would throw her away. Zhang Xiaoxiao patted her helplessly. I won't leave, so you have to eat well. If you don't eat but you don't have the strength, wait until your grandparents come back. Your second aunt is right. Bai Yi looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao seriously. What should I call you? This child is very smart and remembers what Zhang Xiaoxiao said just now. Call me sister. Bai Yi reluctantly let go of her hand. She didn't know why, but when she saw the sister in front of her, she felt particularly cordial. The second aunt put the bowl in front of him. I am a blood relative from the bottom of my heart. Look at me, I just listened to you when we meet for the first time. This child is not so close to them when he sees them. Second aunt, I will call you that after the child, but I just want to ask, are you going to take the child back to the countryside? But this child has a registered permanent residence in the city. Are you going to take her back to the countryside like this? This child, it's a pity. I'll have to go back to school after all. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't bear the child to go back to the countryside like this. This has nothing to do with looking down on rural people. In this era, there is a huge difference between urban household registration and rural household registration. When I take the college entrance examination in the future, there is a big difference between the scores for urban household registration and those for rural household registration. Taking this child to the countryside only means that the child has more people to take care of him. But it's a really bad choice for the child's future. Qifen sighed. They also knew that the child had a city-registered permanent residence no matter what. What would happen if he followed them back to the village? If the child's registered permanent residence was not transferred back, he would not be considered a villager and would not be allocated land. They have to feed this child from their own rations. If they want to use their household budget to buy city rations for this child, they can't go to the city once a month. Even if urban residents have a household registration and can buy food, the problem is that they have no money or food stamps. We also know that we have wronged this child by taking him back. but there is really nothing we can do. You can also see the current situation of this family. The old man has passed away, and his father has disappeared for a long time. We can't find him alive or dead. His mother's situation is like that. You can't leave such a young child alone in the county town. The only thing we can say is to wait 2 years. If her mother comes out and makes plans, maybe the child will be able to go back to the county town to go to school. Now we can only take the child back to feed him, but we can't do anything else. Zhang Xiaoxiao could tell that these two couples were honest people. It was only because he really regarded her as a relative that he said such truthful words. With a thought in her heart, Bai Yi is not yet old enough to go to school. This child needs to be settled now, once he really follows his second uncle and second aunt. Maybe she would have encountered human traffickers and been kidnapped on the road just like in her previous life. As far as she knew, Bai Yi came to see her mother later, and her mother died of illness in prison before she could be released from prison. In fact, this child will be helpless in the future. Depend on. Even if I don't encounter human traffickers, I'm afraid I will follow my uncle and aunt to the countryside in the future. It is also difficult to study. My second uncle and second aunt still have 4 children at home. Even if they really want to, they don't have the ability. And, I want to discuss something with you, otherwise you call my second uncle back. Let's sit down and talk about the child's future. After all, I am also a relative of the child. Our family is from Beijing, and I want to send Bai Yi take it back and raise it. Zhang Xiaoxiao's plan is shocking. Qifen and Bai Yi both raised their heads and looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao. Qifen was very surprised. The girl in front of her must be a kind-hearted person, but her kindness should not be spread randomly. No matter what, you are a relative who is thousands of miles away from you. Most people will definitely avoid this kind of thing if they can. They are serious uncles and aunts who really can't escape. They can't watch their niece live on the street. But this girl rushed up on her own. It can only be said that this girl is too kind-hearted and did not go back to discuss it with her parents. My parents need to know that my daughter is so impulsive. If she makes this decision, she will probably be beaten to death. Even if this child is kind-hearted, they can't do such a thing. Their parents will hear about it and they won't regard them as such cruel and heartless people. This girl has such a pitiful life experience. It doesn't make sense that direct relatives like them don't help raise the child and actually leave it to others. Bai Yi has bright eyes. She likes this sister, and this sister is a relative of her mother, so the two of them can be considered sisters. If she could be with this sister, she would. I'm not polite to call you by your name, Xiao Xiao. This matter is big or small. Logically speaking, we are the only relatives of this child now. Raising a child is not like raising a kitten or puppy. You can tell me just eat, this is a child, a human being. You are young and ignorant. It would be too hasty for you to decide this matter without discussing it with your parents. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, Auntie, I understand what you are saying. In fact, my parents told me before they came here that if they see the child and the child is not doing well, they will take the child over and we will raise it. But I will never unexpectedly, this child's grandparents passed away. In this situation, after all, we are in the city and our children live with us. It will be more convenient for us to go to school in the city in the future. The biggest problem is to transfer the household registration from here to our northern Beijing. It is easier to transfer the urban household registration to the urban household registration. In the future, we will definitely let our children go to school, so I dare to say this. Zhang Xiaoxiao is truly grateful to Qifen in front of her. At least she has good intentions and does not shirk responsibility. It is not because the family is in trouble that the child is thrown out like a rag. From this point of view, this second uncle and second aunt are good people. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 282. Chapter 282. No one has enough food to pick up a child and raise it at home. When Qifen heard this, her expression finally changed. To be honest, their family is not rich. It is difficult to feed their 4 children on the little land they grow, let alone raise another Baiyi. But they know that this child is the only one left now. Relatives? If they don't care about this child will be really miserable. From the bottom of their hearts, they know that their lives are not rich, and even if they pour an extra piece of water into the pot, they still have to raise this child. Others, they also know that they do not have that ability. You can't blame your brothers either. But now I heard Zhang Xiaoxiu's words. The second aunt was still tempted. After all, if her parents really said this, it would mean that Yi's mother's natal family were considered close relatives. If they were not close relatives, they couldn't be said to be so. The conditions at home must be good, and Bai Yi has a city-registered permanent residence. If she can really live with city people, naturally, life will be much better in the future than living with rural people like them. From the perspective of children, living with Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others is far better than living with their second uncle and second aunt. It is impossible to say that they have no selfish motives. After all, one more mouth means one more person to eat. They are not well off, and if they can maintain their current life unchanged, of course they are happy in their hearts. But this matter is not something she, a woman, can have the final say on her own. She still needs her man to come back and discuss it as a couple. Damn it, how is Yi? Has she eaten? No matter what, I have to persuade her to eat. If it doesn't work, go buy 2 eggs. This child will not be able to bear it if she keeps not eating. We have bought the tickets and we will go back to the countryside early tomorrow morning. Second uncle Bai Jifang is back. When I walked in and saw Zhang Xiaoxiao, I was a little surprised. The child's father, come quickly. This is a relative of Yi's mother's family. They were passing by here to have a look. Only then did they know that such a big thing happened in the family. The 2 of us are sitting and talking, you come and listen too. Bai Jifang felt relieved when he looked at Bai Yi who had already started eating. They didn't expect the situation to be so serious. Recently, they have been lying to the child, saying that her grandparents are sick and asking her not to disturb her grandparents. Actually, the old man has passed away. At the final funeral, we really have to let the children show up. In the end, the child really couldn't accept it. He felt like he was crazy if he didn't see it. Now that the child has finally started to eat, at least he is fine. Second uncle, I am Zhang Xiaoxiao, a relative of Bai Yi's mother. If we talk about it, I have to call you uncle. Zhang Xiaoxiao introduced himself openly, feeling guilty. I pretended to recognize this relative of mine. Bai Jifang nodded as a greeting. As a man, he couldn't say anything to the little girl. Qifanla went out to talk. The couple chatted quietly in the next room for a long time. Bai Yi had already finished her meal and looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao eagerly. Sister, can I really live with you? The child's peaceful life has been uprooted in the past few days. The child has experienced too much, and now he feels like he is on the verge of war. Sister wants to take you to Beijing and leave the county. Are you willing? Zhang Xiaoxiao would definitely not be able to take care of the child by himself, so the only thing he could think of was to leave Bai Yi to his parents. I believe that if I have made a decision, my parents will agree with it. My parents doted on her as a daughter so much that they could go to heaven. But I don't want to leave here. What if my grandparents can't find me when they come back? Bai Yi frowned in distress. Zhang Xiaoxiao is very distressed. Silly boy, your grandparents can't find you when they come back, but they can find your second uncle and second aunt. Your second uncle and second aunt know where you are. When the time comes, I'll send you a telegram and a phone call. My sister will take you back to see your grandparents. During the time when your grandparents are away, even if you don't go with your sister, you still have to go with your second uncle and second aunt. You are still so young, it is impossible for you to be here alone. If you live with your sister has a brother and parents at home. They are all very kind people and very kind. They will also be nice to you if you go to our house. This child has no idea that his grandparents will never come back. Bai Yi thought for a long time and nodded vigorously. If that's the case, then I will go with my sister. Sister, I like you and I want to be with you. When he thought of following his second uncle and second aunt, the child would rather follow Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao touched her head. Sister likes you too. Bai Jifang and Qifen came into the room. Judging from the expressions on their faces, they must have reached an agreement. However, Bai Jifang looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao with some caution. Zhang Xiaoxiao, I heard what my wife said. Although it is more appropriate for the child to follow you, I still have to confirm your identity. After all, I have never heard of your relatives. Bai Jifang is obviously more rational than Qifen, and he is also more responsible for his children. Then how do you want to implement it? Let's do this. This time, I passed by here to open the letter of introduction. Otherwise, I will bring the letter of introduction. You can take a look at it. I will leave you my home address and phone number, and come with me. The educated youth also know the situation of my family very well. In this case, I am not telling lies, and you will know everything. We haven't contacted Yi's mother for so many years, mainly because Yi's mother is always afraid of getting us involved. After all, the ingredients in Yi's mother's house are a little different from those in ours. You should be able to understand the reason. This is the best excuse. In this day and age, biological children in many families can still sever ties with their parents. Don't say they are distant relatives. When Bai Jifang heard this, he understood in his heart that this was indeed the case. In this case, I will definitely read the letters of introduction and the educated youth. In line with being responsible for the child, if you want to take the child away, I will go with you. I won't do it unless I see with my own eyes where the child lives. Rest assured. In the future, I will have an explanation for the child's mother when she comes out. I can't just hand the child over to you casually. Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that Bai Jifang was responsible for the child, but he felt bitter in his heart. He hadn't made this matter clear to his parents yet, and now he rashly took the child away. His parents could tell the truth. That's right, I work as an educated youth at Kenking Farm. The letter of introduction I wrote this time is to come to the county town to find a friend of mine who is an educated youth, and I want to take her back. Something happened to her here, and the past 2 days have been hospitalized. We have to go back soon. It is unrealistic for me to take the child back to my home now. Otherwise, you can take the child with me to the farm. The farm has my file and the production team leader is there to testify. I'm sure I won't be a casual person. Besides, a monk can't escape from the temple if I run away. When the Chinese New Year comes, I will send my children back when I ask for leave. I will definitely ask my children to write to you or send a telegram when the time comes. Zhang Xiaoxiao can put it off for a while, but I don't believe that Bai Jifang can still wait. Bai Jifang had no choice but to agree after hearing this. The current household registration management cannot detect the kinship relationship between each other. Thanks to the backwardness of information in this era. But this is also because Zhang Xiaoxiao's identity as an educated youth is easy to win people's trust. After all, the educated youth files of every farm are transferred, and everyone knows the situation at home clearly. As long as he is not a bad person, it is easy to put people at ease. In the past 2 years, no one has had enough to eat, so they have to take a child back to their home to raise. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 283. Chapter 283 Lumbar Muscle Strain. Zhang Xiaoxiao said goodbye, he had other things to do. However, they agreed to buy the train tickets, and Bai Jifang still had to go back and write a letter of introduction. Buying a train ticket is not something he can just buy if he wants to. Zhang Xiaoxiao said okay, I will pick Bai Yi up tomorrow and stay with them for 2 days. Bai Jifang and his wife went home first to write a letter of introduction. After returning, they went back to the farm together. Bai Jifang personally followed Zhang Xiaoxiao to the courtyard where Jin Dachuan lived, and saw Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others with their letters of introduction, and got to know He Aguo and Jin Dachuan, and confirmed that these people were not bad people doing evil. Otherwise, how would he dare to give his niece to others to take care of so easily? The more Bai Jifang did this, the more Zhang Xiaoxiao felt that both Bai Jifang and his wife were good people. In her last life, not to mention Bai Yi, even she herself had doubted it. Bai Yi was abducted by human traffickers. Could it be that the couple didn't want to take care of themselves as an orphan, so they deliberately threw the child on the roadside, which led to the trafficker incident? After all, there were many coincidences in this incident. It can't help but make people think too much. How can it be such a coincidence? But after meeting Zhang Xiaoxiao in this life, she felt that their doubts about Bai Yi's uncle and aunt could be put aside. If the second uncle and the second aunt really didn't want to support Bai Yi, there was no need to do so many things. Faced with a relative who appeared out of nowhere, they could just hand over the person to them easily. They wished Zhang Xiaoxiao could take the person away quickly. It was like a burden was lifted for them. But people are checking so carefully now, and even follow me to check their own files and see the situation there, which proves that they are not worried about their children. If you don't see the real situation, you won't be able to trust your children to them. From this point of view, the second uncle and the second aunt are not who they thought they were. Perhaps it was really a misunderstanding in the previous life. Zhang Xiaoxiao also wanted to deliver dinner to Song Moding and Wu Fei in the hospital. Wu Pingzhou and Xiao Xian didn't take a breath as soon as they got off the car and went straight to the hospital. The two of them were very anxious when they received the call. Wu Fei was their only daughter. Now that something happened, how could they not make people anxious? This child has never been touched in his whole life, and now he has been stabbed, which makes people worried. The two people came to the hospital. Thanks to someone, a local acquaintance picked them up. Specially dispatched car. As soon as the two of them got out of the car, Xiao Xian got out of the car and hurried inside, anxious. There was a clang. One person was hit by her, both of them fell down, and the food was all on the ground. Xiao Xian also knew that he was in trouble, and he must have been too anxious to look at the road. How are you? Hurriedly got up and went to help others. As a result, she groaned and couldn't get up. Her waist had been suffering from long-term lumbar muscle strain, and this time she had an old problem. Wu Pingzhou hurriedly helped his daughter-in-law up, half hugging her, and Zhang Xiaoxiao also came over to help. Who knew something like this would happen as soon as she entered the hospital? She was thinking about how to gain Bai Jifang's trust along the way. She had no idea what to do here, and how to persuade her parents. It's great to have one more child. This is a big living person. To put it bluntly, my parents can support one person. This is not just looking for rumors. She was so preoccupied that she didn't even see the person rushing towards her. And now both of them are miserable. How are you? Wu Pingzhou didn't see what happened just now. He just saw that his daughter-in-law was hit and fell ill, so he hurriedly scolded Zhang Xiaoxiao with a pale face. You little comrade, why are you like this? You didn't see anyone, and you can afford to pay for the trouble you caused by being so frizzy. Zhang Xiaoxiao hesitated, seeing that the uncle looked like a refined man. Why did he open his mouth so much that he didn't like it? Uncle, are you mistaken? Zhang Xiaoxiao thinks he looks like someone who is being bullied. I still have a bully face. Who did she offend? He does this to her at every turn. In the upper outline and on the line. Little comrade. Didn't you bump into the person? You are still shirking responsibility at such a young age. If you bump into someone, it is already wrong. You are still trying to shirk responsibility. You are really a sinister person. Wu Pingzhou looked at his daughter-in-law, who was frowning in pain, and had a preconception that Zhang Xiaoxiao wanted to evade responsibility, so his tone became even more harsh. Xiao Xian endured the pain and hurriedly stopped her husband. Old Wu, you misunderstood this kid. I bumped into someone else. Didn't you see that the food they brought was scattered all over the floor? I didn't look at the road just now. It hurt so much that I started to feel much. The lumbar muscle strain causes pain and makes it difficult to even get out of bed. Wu Pingzhou suddenly looked embarrassed. I have misunderstood others. This. I'm sorry, I thought. Zhang Xiaoxiao took a step forward and said, Uncle, send the person over quickly and find a place to lie down. But did not respond to Wu Pingzhou's reaction at all. Wu Pingzhou was interrupted before he could finish his apology. Little girl, I know. How could he not know that since he is a doctor? My daughter-in-law's problem is still an old problem. Every time she gets into trouble, she needs to rest in bed. They originally wanted acupuncture treatment, but they really don't have time. The patient's surgeries have been scheduled until next year and they are taking a break. I don't know how many patients will be delayed in their treatment. They cannot afford to rest. A doctor doesn't even have time to rest. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't even give Wu Pingzhou a glance. It's not her fault that she was questioned. But after all, Wu Pingzhou and Zhang Xiaoxiao carried the person in. In the emergency room, Xiao Xian was lying on the bed. The emergency room is very busy right now. 2 pregnant women have just been sent to a hospital. One suffered from severe bleeding and the other had a baby with his head protruding. Doctors and nurses are busy. Xiao Xian's illness was not something that was going to kill him right away, so naturally he was left in the emergency room without anyone taking care of him. Xiao Xian was in unbearable pain. This time it was an accidental waist sprain that caused the previous lumbar muscle strain, but the pain was really uncomfortable. Zhang Xiaoxiao took a step forward, took off Xiao Xian's shoes, and used his right index finger to flick the Kunlun point on his left foot. When flicking the Kunlun point on his right foot, he placed the tip of his left index finger on the point, first pressed downward, and then slid toward the outer ankle. Neither Xiao Xian nor Wu Pingzhou had time to react. Xiao Xian felt numbness or electric shock radiating to the soles of her feet. Zhang Xiaoxiao continued to flick the acupoints on both sides 3 times. Oh, it doesn't hurt anymore. Xiao Xian had a smile on her face. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, you should have felt an electric shock just now. If there is only pain but no electric shock, the back pain can be reduced, but not eliminated. It must feel like an electric shock and be numb enough. My heart and back pain all disappeared. Wu Pingzhou himself felt amazing. You, girl, you actually have such a skill. It's amazing, the masters are among the people. It is true that they do not know this method. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that the pain was relieved and then stopped. Okay, if nothing else, you can get up after a few minutes of rest. However, you can't do strenuous exercise in the past 2 days, so you still need to pay attention to rest. I have encountered this kind of situation many times in the countryside. This is a method I have learned over the past few decades. Hands on and off. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 284. Chapter 284 Strange. Comrade, what's your name? I didn't expect you to have such medical skills at such a young age. I really want to thank you very much. Xiao Xian looked at Zhang Xiao. The child was quite pretty, but he felt a little strangely familiar. Where have I seen this little girl? Zhang Xiao said goodbye. You're welcome. In fact, I was also at fault for what happened today. I'm sorry to help you heal. I have to leave. My friend is still upstairs in the inpatient department. I have to go there. Looking at Zhang Xiao walking away, Wu Pingzhou realized that he seemed to have not apologized to the child. Alas! As an adult like me, I blame others without asking questions clearly. This child is really big-hearted and doesn't care at all. I feel even more guilty. Your temper is still the same. This child is really good. By the way, don't you think who this child looks like? Why do I think this child looks familiar? Everyone looks familiar, hey, but this child does feel very familiar to me, as if I have seen it somewhere before. Could it be that we know the parents of this child? Wu Pingzhou also had some strange feelings. Don't you only know Lao Wei here? He doesn't look like Lao Wei. Xiao Xian muttered to herself and stood up slowly. Not to mention that the girl's hard work really relieved her pain. Now it doesn't hurt at all to get up. However, she knew that this was only a temporary relief, and she had to pay attention to it in the past 2 days. As a doctor, of course, she understood that this injury could not be cured all at once. Old Wei and his wife together can't give birth to such a beautiful girl. Besides, all the children born by Old Wei are bald boys, so there won't be any girls. Okay, let's go up quickly to see Wu Fei. Wu Pingzhou supported his wife and the two of them went upstairs. Zhang Xiaoxiu's meal was all gone and he could only go to the ward empty-handed. Song Moding went to turn on the water and was not there. Wu Fei was so hungry that her chest was pressed against her back. The food Zhang Xiao brought was so delicious. After eating in the morning, he kept thinking about it, so Song Moding originally wanted to buy some sick meals from the canteen in the evening, but Wu Fei didn't let him buy it. Say that you are not hungry. I just feel that even if Zhang Xiao is hungry, she will never be hungry for Song Moding, who is her man. Since I have delivered food to Song Moding, I must have my own share, so I am waiting here with an empty stomach. Who knew it would be good to see Zhang Xiao come with nothing in his hand? Snort. Wu Fei turned over and covered herself with the quilt, pretending to sleep. Zhang Xiao didn't notice the gloom on Wu Fei's face. He looked over and saw that Song Moding wasn't there. Then he looked at the kettle and he knew it immediately. Wu Fei, you want to eat something, or I can go to a nearby restaurant to buy you something to eat? Zhang Xiao knew that they must not have eaten. When he left, he agreed to deliver food in the evening. The food in question is now gone. Wu Fei lifted the quilt and said, Zhang Xiao, you did it on purpose, didn't you? You knew I was a patient. You didn't give me food on purpose. Who would use you to buy food? I won't eat. Zhang Xiao was angry, and the others kicked their noses and faces, and worked hard to deliver meals. Could it be that he didn't give her food? Why would he bump into someone on the road? I still feel like I owe her. It's okay if you don't eat, save money, it's up to you. I'm not your mother, and I have no obligation to take care of you, eat as much as you like or not. Song Moding saw the anger on his wife's face as soon as she entered the door. Looked sideways at Wu Fei. There was a chill in his eyes. The circles under your eyes are black. Didn't I tell you to have a good rest? Why are you here again? Not only were the circles under his eyes dark, but his eyes were all red and bloodshot. Song Moding deeply suspected that his wife had not slept at all. You haven't eaten yet? Let's go. I'll go to dinner with you. Wu Fei didn't eat anything, and it also saved her own money. Songmoting, stop. Songmoting turned around impatiently. He had never seen a woman who was so playful. If it weren't for this patient, Songmoting would have left long ago. Are you done yet? If you're not hungry, then you should have a good rest. I want to eat, but I'm hungry. Come on, wife, eat with me. Songmoting took Zhang Xiaoxiao and left. But he bumped into Wu Pingzhou and Xiao Xian. Xiao Song, does Wu Fei live here? Xiao Xian didn't see Zhang Xiaoxiao, who was blocked by Songmoting, and Songmoting felt relieved. Wu Fei's parents are here, then his mission is completed. You can go back to spend time with your wife tonight. If you don't take a good look at this woman, you will know that she doesn't take good care of herself and always makes him worry. Auntie, uncle, Wu Fei is inside. Xiao Xian and Wu Pingzhou hurried in. Wu Fei burst into tears when she saw her parents. It seems like I have been greatly wronged. Zhang Xiaoxiao was speechless and pulled Songmoting's sleeve. Songmoting smiled and hooked her fingers. The wife wants to leave. Let alone Zhang Xiaoxiao, even Songmoting wanted to leave. Xiao Song. What's going on? What's going on with Wu Fei? Xiao Xian looked up and saw Zhang Xiaoxiao. Girl, are you here too? Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and greeted, hello, aunt, I am Songmoting's lover. How could I have imagined that it was Wu Fei's parents who bumped into each other on a narrow road? Seeing as Wu Fei's parents are also high-level intellectuals, how come they raised a daughter like Wu Fei? It's really different. A loving mother often loses her sons. Wu Fei glared, Mom. They abused me and didn't even give me food. I'm a patient, and they don't give me food at all this time. This is when the evildoer complains first. Zhang Xiaoxiao burst into laughter, Sister, could you please have a higher rank? This is your mother, not mine. How can your mother still care about me? It's really hard to use your brain. Xiao Xian also looked embarrassed. It wasn't that they didn't deliver the food, but the food they delivered was knocked over by her. But in my heart I also despise my daughter's behavior. This is not the typical situation of flipping the table over after finishing the pot. Is this something people do? Wu Pingzhou's face turned dark and he slapped the table. Shut up. Wu Fei saw that Zhang Xiaoxiao and Songmoting were so proud that they dared to go against her and bully her, but she didn't see that her backer had arrived. Waiting for her father to vent her anger. Teach Zhang Xiaoxiao and Songmoting a good lesson. Zhang Xiaoxiao, I want to eat chicken noodle soup, you go back and make it for me. Zhang Xiaoxiao almost lost his breath. Where does this come from? Do you really think that everyone in the world looks at your parents? Your parents are emperors. Turn around and walk away. Politeness does not exist, there is no need to be polite with such a person. Especially with the old and foolish uncle who protects the calf. Wu Fei, shut up. People are taking care of you with good intentions, but you still accuse others and slander others. This is how I educated you, Wu Fei? Apologize to Zhang Xiaoxiao immediately. She was the one who brought you food. I was knocked over by your mother at the entrance of the hospital, and you still dare to confuse right and wrong. I am really disappointed in you. Wu Pingzhou felt that he had been completely humiliated. Why did my daughter become like this? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 285. Chapter 285 Blame. Wu Fei was dumbfounded as she watched her father glare at him accusingly, and then turned to look at her mother, who looked disappointed. As he digested the meaning of the words, his face turned red all of a sudden. He said that he was long, he was black, and was caught by his parents. This time Wu Fei really calmed down and sat down obediently. Xiao Xian pulled her husband's sleeve and glanced at Wu Fei, who looked haggard. If your child does something wrong, now is not the time to discipline her. Xiao Song, I'm sorry, Wu Fei has been spoiled by us. Thanks to you this time, otherwise I really don't know what would have happened. This is, Zhang Xiao Xiao, right? We haven't formally met each other yet. We just met each other. Thank you for your help. Otherwise I would still be in so much pain that I couldn't get up. They knew she was Song Moting's daughter-in-law, but they never knew her name. They vaguely heard something about Xiao Xiao. Just now, I did good deeds without leaving my name. The attitudes of Xiao Xian and Wu Pingzhou are off-putting. This is Zhang Xiao Xiao, my lover. Auntie, uncle, since you are here, let's go. Wu Fei will be left to you. The doctor said that her surgery was very good, nothing serious, as long as she takes care of herself there's no big problem with my cultivation. What Song Moting means is to hand over the people to you, and they will not come back in the future. They should also go back to the farm, otherwise the team leader Li Dehu should be anxious. It would be a big deal if Jia Shu is gone. If the 4 educated youths are gone, Li Dehu should be crazy. Although the autumn harvest is over, they are not idle either. They still have to prepare for the college entrance examination. Xiao Xian and Wu Pingzhou naturally understood what they meant. Xiao Xian sent them out, holding Zhang Xiaoxiao's hand. Zhang Xiao Xiao, Auntie will give you a compliment on behalf of Wu Fei. This child is mean, and Auntie knows that she has a perverse temper and a young lady's temper. Don't talk to her general knowledge, thank you for being by her side this time. I have to thank you no matter what, Xiao Song and Xiao Zhang. When you return to Beijing, you must go to your aunt and let your aunt and uncle thank you properly. Xiao Xian felt very guilty. He was taking care of his daughter, but he was not related to their family and they were not familiar with each other. Why should he bear his daughter's temper? Zhang Xiaoxiao felt that it was really a disgrace for a kind person like Xiao Xian to have such an arrogant and domineering daughter like Wu Fei. Auntie, Wu Fei is Wu Fei, and you are you. There is no need for you to bear the responsibility for the mistakes she made. Wu Fei is already an adult, and it is not good for her to protect her all the time. You really need to take good care of her. Otherwise, other things might happen in the future. Zhang Xiaoxiao was able to say this naturally because he liked Xiao Xian very much. Otherwise, why would I, an outsider, say such things to offend others? After all, Xiao Xian and Wu Fei are mother and daughter. No mother likes to hear other people say something bad about her child. This is the reason why good advice may offend the ears. Xiao Xian smiled bitterly, your child is a good child. Auntie, thank you very much. I know my daughter. It's because we are busy with work and don't spend any effort on the child. As a result, the child is like this now. Auntie knows that what you said is really for her own good. My heart is full of gratitude. Most people will never say a word when they see this kind of thing. Why bother to talk about other people's rights and wrongs? After all, it has nothing to do with you. But this is the first time this little girl has met her, and she can say this, which proves that this little girl is a straight-tempered person, and she is a straightforward person. Seeing her daughter like this, she does not say that she will tolerate and give in. Hey, it would be great if this Zhang Xiaoxiao was my daughter's friend. If Wu Fei had such a friend around her who influenced her, her temper would not be developed like this now. Watching Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moting leave, Xiao Xian went back. The atmosphere in the ward was dull. Wu Pingzhou looked at his daughter and was furious. Look at yourself. We have educated you since you were young. Are you like this? What right do you have to lose your temper at others? Does Song Moting owe you? Or does Song Moting's wife owe you? It's a huge favor for someone to take care of you here with their kindness. It's not like you don't know that our family has no contact with the Song family at all. Even if someone just stands by and watches, or even adds insult to injury to you, that is not too much. You owe her a huge favor. Not only do you feel a little guilty and apologetic to her, but you still treat her like an aunt and a mother. Your mother and I are too lax in our discipline. I told you that when you are discharged from the hospital, you will return to Beijing immediately. You come here, do you think I don't know your little thoughts? Isn't it just that Jin Dachuan is here? Do you think your parents really don't know about those things you did back then? We don't say it because we care about you and feel that you are older and need to give you some face. But that doesn't mean we don't know anything about it. Look at yourself, what do you want me to say about you? Wu Fei looked up at her father in surprise. Dad, you have always known about Jin Dachuan. Why have you never told me? She always thought that she had kept this matter well hidden. I also thought that my parents didn't know anything about Jin Dachuan, given my father's old-fashioned personality. I have taught myself a lesson a long time ago. How could I remain silent for so many years? Wu Pingzhou sighed and said earnestly, Wu Fei, everyone has the right to pursue their own happiness. We didn't stop you from liking Jin Dachuan because we felt that Jin Dachuan was indeed a good man. The problem is that he doesn't like you. We didn't stop him before because Jin Dachuan was not married yet, but now Jin Dahuaquan is married and has a wife. He will have his own children and his own home in the future. If you intervene now, you will become a third party. I really didn't expect you to do such a thing. You have received higher education and you know right from wrong. You can actually come all the way here? Wu Fei, you should think carefully about how you should behave. You are an adult. You are not a child. If you come here now, aren't you destroying Jin Dachuan's family? If you let Jin Dachuan's wife know about this, what will they think? Wu Fei pouted, Dad, that woman is not worthy of Brother Jin at all. Shut up. Are you still saying, do you know any sense of shame? I am not worthy of you. I am not worthy of you. I am not worthy of Jin Dachuan. I am helping Jin Dachuan take care of his parents and younger brothers and sisters. That's all. In my mind, a woman is nobler and taller than you. If Jin Dachuan had abandoned such a girl, he would have stayed with you. I will never accept him as my son-in-law. Let me tell you, Wu Fei, if you continue to behave like this, be confused and do nothing without considering the consequences. Your mother and I will send you abroad directly. Wu Fei's eyes widened angrily, Dad. I'm telling you, I'm your dad, don't force me. As soon as Xiao Xian entered the door, she saw a father and a daughter with big eyes and small eyes staring at them. Okay, I bought some food, let the two of you eat something quickly. Wu Fei, you have to pay attention to your attitude, that's your dad. She put down the two lunch boxes in her hands and bought hot meals. She knew from what she just said that her daughter hadn't eaten. Wu Fei was so angry that she lay on the bed without eating. Wu Pingzhou looked at his wife who was busy and said, if she doesn't eat, just leave her alone and don't spoil her. She will eat naturally when she is hungry. Father and daughter were still breathless. Xiao Xian sighed. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 286. Chapter 286 So Smart. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding were walking back. There was no shuttle bus at this time. It was completely dark. I'm going to make you some noodles. Let's eat something simple. There's no way to estimate that there won't be anything at this moment. The meal I just brought to you accidentally bumped into Wu Fei's mother at the entrance of the hospital and it all spilled. Zhang Xiaoxiao was a little tired and leaned on Song Moding's shoulder. Fortunately, it was dark and there was no one on the road, so there was no harm in behaving wildly. Why don't you do it? I'll do it myself when I go back. Go back and soak your feet and sleep well. I bet you haven't slept all day. The circles under your eyes look like pandas. Song Moding touched Zhang Xiaoxiao's hair distressedly, unable to hide the fatigue in his eyes. The wife is exhausted. Zhang Xiaoxiao rubbed his big hand. Oh, it's so comfortable to lean on you like this. It would be great if I could not take a step. Think about it, I have to walk back. This is 10 stops. I know, if I had pulled you out earlier, at least I could catch the last bus, but now it's a good idea, as the two of us have to use our legs to walk back. It's really your own fault. Song Moding paused, and Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at him confused. What's wrong? Song Moding bent down and patted himself on the back. Come on, come up, I will carry you back. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and covered her mouth. Don't be kidding me. I'm tired, you are tired too, and you didn't sleep last night. You've been in the hospital during the day, and endured all kinds of impatience from that woman, and now you're still hungry. I can't bear it. Song Moding smiled and said, come up quickly. No matter how tired I am as a grown man, I still have the strength to carry you 2 steps. Don't worry, your man is not that fragile. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't defeat Song Moding in the end and obediently lay on his back. So comfortable. Lying on his broad shoulders, it was warm and safe. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't help but sigh behind him. The soft hair gently brushed Song Moding's ears, and the warm breath stayed at the base of his ears, tickling and warm. Hooked her big hand and tightened it. You still have to be obedient in the future. If you don't take care of your health when you are young, you will damage your body in the future. You will suffer the consequences when you are old. Comrade Song, you are more nagging than my mother now. Zhang Xiaoxiao narrowed his eyes comfortably, feeling sleepy. I now know what the words my mother-in-law said to me at that time meant. You made me worry so much. I guess you made my mother-in-law and my father-in-law worry a lot when I was at my parents' house. Yes. My mother has just seen your son-in-law, and she is in cahoots with her, sharing the same hatred with her, and working together to deal with my daughter. Otherwise, how could she be so kind to you? Zhang Xiaoxiao felt inexplicably jealous when he thought of Fan Jiuying's love for Song Moding. The slight curve of the corner of her mouth made her feel better. Forget it, I don't know who my mother-in-law is good to. Just give it a try. If I dare to treat you even a little bit badly, my father-in-law and mother-in-law can kill me directly. As soon as Zhang Xiaoxiao heard this, he thought about Bai Yiyi. A clever person. Song Moding sensitively felt Zhang Xiao's movements behind him. My heart trembled slightly, my wife must have done something bad. Very understanding. Comrade Song, I want to discuss something with you. I may have made a mistake, otherwise you can think of how to make up for it. Zhang Xiaoxiao can't hide this matter. Tomorrow Bai Jifang should bring Bai Yiyi with him. Even if he can hide it tonight, he won't be able to hide it tomorrow. It's better to tell the truth now, at least Song Moding will help her find a way to make up for the matter. What mistake did you make again? Tell me quickly. This is what happened. Zhang Xiaoxiao avoided the important and took the easy. Although she told the whole story once, she avoided a lot of details and just said that she fell in love with Yiyi at first sight and liked her very much. She didn't want the child to be brought back to the countryside to be ruined. She wanted the child to receive a good education and become a useful talent. It doesn't make any sense anyway. That is Song Moding. He knew clearly that the logic of this matter was not smooth at all, but he sighed helplessly in his heart, who knew that this was the person his wife liked. Like a child for no reason. It was impossible for him to question him at all. It was really difficult to tell lies with his eyes open. Is it possible that your wife-in-law particularly likes children? They should have children sooner. My own daughter-in-law in the province is filled with motherly love for every child she sees. It's enough to give back a child. He can still find a way to make things right. If his wife adopts one by one in the future, their family will be very lively. Zhang Xiaoxiao hugged Song Moding's neck. Comrade Song, tell me what to do. I want Bai Yi to go to my parents' place, but how should I tell them? There is also the issue of household registration. Song Moding smiled maliciously, and now he started to worry. Song Moding, are you still laughing? Zhang Xiaoxiao pinched his ears with her tender and delicate fingers, while Song Moding carried her on his back and spun around on the ground. Can I not laugh? Marrying such a stupid wife, if you don't smile, it will be unbearable. You are so stupid, why did you send Bai Yi back to your parents? There is no explanation for this. It's easy to explain. I sent it back to my grandparents. My grandma lives alone and has no one to take care of her. There is just one more child and someone will keep her company. Don't worry. My grandma has such a good temper. If you send the child to my grandma, she won't even be happy. I promise she won't ask you why. Song Moding's words made Zhang Xiaoxiao suddenly enlightened. Yes, if you send it to MRS Song, everything will be solved easily, and the old lady will definitely not ask her. Bai Yi is very cute and well behaved. At least Bai Yi is very cute now. Not only can he keep the old lady company, but the old lady can also take care of the child. But grandma is so old, will it be too hard to take care of a child? Zhang Xiaoxiao was a little worried. Although Bai Yi was very well behaved and cute, the old lady was still young because of her age. They are so young, and it is indeed not right for them to leave their children to be raised next to the elderly. Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't really want to cause trouble to the old man. I said, you are stupid, you are really stupid. We are not taking the college entrance examination right away. When the college entrance examination is over and we are admitted to university, we will definitely have to go back to Beijing. Then you will take the child back. My grandma can only stay with me for a long time. How tiring can 1.5 years be? Besides, my grandma also has an aunt beside her. Definitely can't tire her out. According to what you said, the child is very well behaved and not tiring. Zhang Xiaoxiao hugged Song Moding's neck tightly, his cheek touching Song Moding's cheek. Comrade Song is still awesome, much better than me. I thought about it for a long time and couldn't come up with a twist. I was worried here for a long time, thinking about what excuses I could use to fool my parents. My hair is turning gray because of my worries. Who would have thought that it would be solved with such a simple sentence when I came to you? Alas, the little girl is resigned to being defeated. Song Moding smiled. Why do I feel that your words don't sound like compliments? Zhang Xiaoxiao exclaimed, no way. I'm just praising people. I'm praising the man I married for being so powerful and smart. Duplicity. Song Moding still can't hear it. Two people were laughing and joking. The next chapter is nearly 8,000 words long, so don't read it if you don't like it. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 287. Chapter 287. The dust has settled, 4 chapters in one. Early in the morning. Bai Jifang brought Bai Yi up. Following the address, I found Jin Dachuan's home. Jin Dachuan was also at home today. As agreed, Song Moding and the others were leaving today, and Jin Dachuan specially sent them off at home. Zhang Xiaoxiao also left several hundred kilograms of grain and some fruits and vegetables to Jin Dachuan and the others. It was nominally bought back, but actually smuggled out of space. Bai Jifang brought Bai Yi in. Jin Dachuan was not polite to them either, so he just left his things behind. Anyway, they were coming and going, and his convoy traveled all over the country. Helping them pick up some more things when I have time to go to their farm. Driving a car specifically to take them to the station. 5 adults and 1 child got on the bus. Zhao Jinmi I specially handed Zhang Xiaoxiao a net bag. The lunch box here is packed with food for you to eat on the road, as well as boiled eggs. This is fruit. I also borrowed flowers to offer to Buddha. This is the fruit you brought back. If you don't wash it, you have to eat it on the road. There is also chicken soup in this insulated box. Jiashu's health is not good, so she still needs to be replenished. She must be urged to eat more to lose weight like that. You, go back early and wait for your good news. When I get admitted to college, I will take my children to visit you in Beijing, and we will be close. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded. Sister-in-law, the peach jam and peach wine I left for you are my ancestral secret recipes. Eating them can strengthen your body. As for you, eat a little from time to give birth to a child. There must be benefits when you use it, but don't give these things to others. Don't let down my good intentions. I'm waiting for you to take your children to see me. She had already noticed that Zhao Jinmiai's belly was very big, and it looked like she might be twins. Although I haven't determined yet how good this thing is. But at least it can make Zhao Jinmiai suffer less. She also secretly kept a ginseng root. Okay, I understand. I accept all your wishes. Of course, such a good thing cannot be given to others. Don't worry, I will keep it for myself and won't give it to anyone, not even the child's father. Zhao Jinmiai could see that Zhang Xiaoxiao was really good to her. Daughter-in-law, we have to get off the train. The train is about to leave. If you don't get off, you will go directly to their farm with Xiaoxiao and the others. Jin Dachuan wanted to help his wife get out of the car. Zhao Jinmiai held Zhang Xiaoxiao's hand tightly and said, Xiaoxiao, remember to write a letter to sister-in-law. You go back and review hard and hurry up for the exam. I believe you will do well in the exam. I will definitely visit you next year. Get off the car reluctantly. Zhang Xiaoxiao waved her hand at the car window. Sister-in-law, I left something for you under the pillow where I slept. Sister-in-law, go back and keep it safe. A word that floats in the wind. The train is starting to move. Zhao Jinmiai's eyes turned red, and Jin Dachuan helped his wife go home. Don't cry. I told you to take your children to Beijing to see them next year. I know Song Moding's family, I went there last time. If you really like Xiaoxiao, at worst, I will get married in Beijing in the future. A house. Isn't that enough for you to stay in Beijing? Don't cry now. Zhao Jinmiai wiped away her tears and burst into laughter. Let's see what you can do. If you say you want a suite, you can get one. You, Jin Dachuan, are rich and powerful now. You can get a house wherever you want. Jin Dachuan chuckled. Not to mention that Jin Dachuan is a real million yuan household. They are genuine people. Back home, Zhao Jinmiai looked under the pillow in Zhang Xiaoxiao's room and saw a handkerchief. When she opened the handkerchief, she was shocked. Jin Dachuan sighed. Oh, this is a great favor. I thought they left some money, but who knew they actually left a ginseng root. He often does business here and there, so this ginseng can't be seen, at least it is ginseng that is more than 100 years old. If you sell this kind of ginseng in a drugstore, it will cost a few hundred yuan, Zhang Xiaoxiao said. Just leave it to them. I guess he is worried that his wife will need it when she gives birth to a baby. This is such a great favor. Zhao Jinmiai wrapped it up. You have to return this favor. We didn't go to Song Moding's wedding and we didn't give him a gift. Now you are still receiving such a big favor. Anyway, I don't care about this matter, you can do it yourself. Find a way to make up for it. Jin Dachuan nodded. Okay. I know. What's the relationship between me and Song Moding? We two brothers don't care about this. Don't worry, I know it well. I promise to give Song Moding a big gift. Return this favor to him. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others returned to the farm. Bai Jifang personally checked with the production team leader and found out that Zhang Xiaoxiao's family was not lying. Zhang Xiaoxiao's family was indeed from northern Beijing. Her parents were workers, and she also had an older brother and older sister. She was the youngest in the family. With such a family background, there is no need to deceive them, and go there to deceive a child to take home and raise. It's not like a wealthy family. It costs nothing to raise a child. Can't help but trust Zhang Xiaoxiu's words even more. Bai Jifang can't stay here much longer. There are still many things to do at home. He goes out alone, and his wife at home has to take care of several children by herself. Reluctantly handed Bai Yi to Zhang Xiaoxiao. The child's household registration has been issued with a migration certificate. Song Moding had someone bring it to the old man. He didn't know how to tell the old man. Anyway, Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't care about what happened next. It was agreed that Bai Yi would write a letter to her family every month to explain her own situation, so that they could rest assured. He also asked for the address of Zhang Xiaoxiu's home in Beijing, so that he could visit his children more conveniently in the future. In fact, Bai Jifang knew in his heart that it was probably impossible for him to go to a place so far north of Beijing in his lifetime, and the travel expenses would probably cost tens of thousands for a family like his. How can you have money to go to Beijing when you have to break a penny in half to spend it? Zhang Xiaoxiao saw Bai Jifang in the car, and then felt relieved after watching the person walk away. Bai Yi relied on Zhang Xiaoxiao, but there was no reluctance in the child's eyes. After a few days, the relationship between her uncle and aunt did not reach the level of reluctance all of a sudden. When Bai Jifang returned home and packed his things, he saw an extra handkerchief in his bag, which contained 200 yuan and a ginseng stick. I knew in my heart that Zhang Xiaoxiao gave it to me. Sigh. I thought they were bad people. Are there such bad people? He would like to meet a few more of these bad people. Sorry. My niece is raised by others and she also helps their family. This is a really good guy. That younger brother and sister of mine has accumulated good deeds. It seems that the younger siblings are not bad people. If the younger siblings were really bad people, how could they help them like this? When you have time, let your wife-in-law visit her siblings more often and find some answers. Zhang Xiaoxiao took the person back to the farm. Since the child is still young anyway, I will let him stay in the dormitory until he goes to school. Bai Yi lives with her and Jia Shu. They had a good harvest this year, and the food was not enough for the children. Besides, Zhang has a lot of food in his small space. The educated youth have never cared about this. After all, everyone now has a household worth 10,000 yuan. Who cares about such a small amount of money? They are all very wealthy. However, at the end of November, Bai Yi was sent to Zhang Yu's home. They had reached the most critical moment of taking exams and had no time to take care of a child. Zhang Xiaoxiao rode his bicycle to make a special trip to the first team. The Kenking farm is just that big. A large group was separated from them by 50 miles and had to climb a mountain. When she reached the place by bicycle, she saw the village in the distance. The smoke is curling up. I have only been here once. Getting off the car and pushing her bicycle, she touched the first house in the third row of the village. The houses here are the same as those in their group. They are the kind of yards specially built for farms. They are a large row of cave houses, and each house has a yard. Knock on the door. Anyone there? Who? While talking, someone opened the door. An old lady wearing a dark cotton jacket, black cotton trousers, and a floral headscarf came out. Hand holding a bamboo dustpan, he was sifting the corn inside. Seeing Zhang Xiaoxiao, he was stunned and his eyes were alert. Who are you? Auntie, I'll come to our brigade to exchange for some dry goods. The Chinese New Year is coming soon at home, and I want some dried mushrooms, fungus or something. Don't worry, it's not speculation, I'll exchange it for food. As soon as she opened her mouth to speak, the old lady's expression changed, and her eyes were like daggers. These days, if you are caught speculating, you will need to be reformed through labor. It is not harmful to people if they are involved. but he finally calmed down after hearing what she said later. This girl is very smart and knows how to use a good excuse. Girl, you are sensible. Come on, come in quickly. Enter the house and take a sip of hot water in this freezing cold weather. The old lady immediately became enthusiastic, thinking that her son was going to get married soon. But the wedding must be arranged in a decent manner. Even if you don't invite anyone to a meal, you still have to prepare something. You can't let a new daughter-in-law enter the house. The bride's family will eat black-faced steamed buns just like them. But it's not that easy to prepare something. There was a snowstorm just last year, and the harvest in this field has already been reduced a lot. In addition, this year's harvest is mediocre and cannot be considered a bumper harvest. It has added to last year's debt, and there is basically not much food left this year. My family lives by tightening their belts tightly. I'm afraid I won't be able to make it through next spring just like this. It is indeed difficult for them to marry a daughter-in-law now, but their mother-in-law's family also says that they can do whatever they have as much money as they have. As a mother-in-law, even if it is for the sake of face, she must at least handle this matter in a decent manner. I was just worrying about this matter, but unexpectedly a girl came to my door. Not to mention that they still have some of these dry goods. You can't let the old ladies in the village know about this, otherwise, how can you have anything to do with yourself? I saw that there was a bag on the back rack of the girl's bicycle, which looked like a lot of things. It means that you don't know what kind of food you are carrying. The girl's clothes were of good quality and she could ride a bicycle. She must be one of the educated youths from the brigade in front of her. Only educated youths from the city have the ability to ride bicycles and wear clothes of such good materials. Furthermore, there is a difference between the grain distributed to the educated youth and the grain distributed to them. The educated youth all grow rice and white flour. The same is true for those who are divided, and the situation is a little better than theirs. The old lady guessed that the bag at the back contained either rice or white flour. Even if it's not white flour, it's rice. Steam a pot of rice for your parents' family. That can be considered a very grand and decent meal. Looking at Zhang Xiaoxiu's expression, he couldn't help but become a lot gentler. Auntie, I think you have something going on at home. Zhang Xiaoxiao said unintentionally. The old lady in front of me was once my mother-in-law. To put it bluntly, this mother-in-law is good at everything and is kind to others. But it's just superstition. This kind of feudal superstition will never be changed. When I was doing sports, I was afraid of it. Although the old lady didn't do it outside, she still believed in it at home. Still very trusting. Burning incense and worshipping Buddha secretly behind people's backs. This man who didn't want to marry a daughter-in-law came to the house and asked someone to have a fortune-telling, and only after the horoscopes matched, he agreed to the marriage. It is because the old lady is superstitious that the first daughter born to her husband and wife Li Fengxian in her previous life happened to be born on July 15th of the lunar calendar because the life was not very good. In the old lady's mind, this was an unlucky day. She felt very unhappy. She even asked someone to do a calculation and found out that her granddaughter was the nemesis of their family. Chasing the father and the mother will destroy the family. So I spent the whole confinement struggling with the idea of giving this granddaughter away. Li Fengxian suffered from some problems during this confinement period. Although he tried his best to save his daughter, the disease caused by this made him weak. After that, the second and third children were born. It happened that the old man passed away not long after the eldest son was born. The old lady was even more resentful about this because of her eldest granddaughter. Let someone calculate it, let alone the second and third sons, these horoscopes are not in harmony with the family, so although the second and third sons are grandsons, they are still not liked by the old lady, and the family is directly exiled. No matter how capable her husband was, Li Fengxian was still alone. Li Fengxian was too weak to reach the ground. Life was difficult at home, and the children were all starved and skinny. Li Fengxian was completely exhausted by this day, and finally died early. It's not just because of the old lady's superstition. If he had stayed calm, his life would not have ended like that, and his son would not have lost his wife. When dealing with the old lady, she naturally had to start with the old lady's preferences, so as to gain the old lady's trust. The old lady was stunned for a moment, and then she was ecstatic. He hurriedly opened the curtain and walked into the yard, looked outside, locked the yard door, and bolted the door again after entering the house. "Girl, can you read faces?" The old lady was going to have a happy event at home, but she didn't prepare anything at home. As soon as she walked in, she could tell from her face that they were going to have a happy event, which naturally made her overjoyed. This is meeting a fellow traveler, it is the joy of finding a like-minded partner. Looking at Zhang Xiaoxiao, his eyes became gentler. "Auntie, I am young, so I don't know those things. It's the older generation in my family who know how. When I was a child, I was taught a few things step by step, so I only know a little bit. I'm just guessing, don't take it seriously." Once the old lady heard this, she believed it even more. How could she not believe it? The more this girl refuses to admit it, it proves that she understands this. Nowadays, too many people have been arrested for engaging in feudal superstition. Even if anyone believes this, they cannot say it openly. Who dares to admit it? Girl, let me tell you something from the bottom of my heart. My old lady, I really believe this. Don't worry, only the two of us know what I'm saying. Close the door and no one else knows. If you leave this door, you won't admit it? Is it possible that others can force you to admit it? Looking at Zhang Xiaoxiao's obviously relaxed expression, the old lady knew that it was the little girl who was finally relieved. "Madam, this is what you said. It came out of my mouth and passed through your ears, but I don't recognize it after it has passed through this door." The old lady breathed a sigh of relief and asked hurriedly. "Girl, how did you know that there is something happy in our family?" "Old lady, this is an ancestral secret of our family. I can't explain it clearly to you. I can probably tell from your face that the eldest son of your family is going to get a wife recently, and this wife my natal family should be in the southeast, and the surname Musa matches your son's horoscope very well." As soon as these words came out, the old lady looked even more surprised. "I have met many women who tell fortunes, but I have never met anyone who can tell things so accurately. They not only clearly tell the location of their daughter-in-law's natal family. You can also say that the surname is Li. The others cannot do it. It seems that the girl's ancestor is a good person. I couldn't help but secretly believe it in my heart. Girl, our family spent a lot of money to marry this daughter-in-law you don't know, but their mother's family actually asked for a 100 yuan gift. This is a huge deal on our farm. Moreover, I also need a sewing machine. You don't know that my son has begged everyone for the sewing machine." "Why?" The old lady was in pain and couldn't say this, and she couldn't tell others. The farm was full of gossips. If they told other people, they would spread the word to 10, and then it would spread to hundreds. These words may not be spread as far as they will reach the mouths and ears of future daughter-in-laws. I thought that she, an old woman, was dissatisfied with this daughter-in-law. Even if she was really dissatisfied, she couldn't say it out loud. Who didn't know that her son wanted to marry this daughter-in-law? The reason why I can write novels about Zhang Xiaoxiao is naturally because Zhang Xiaoxiao is an outsider. After leaving today, who will know about this? Auntie, it is true that your daughter-in-law's natal family requires a lot of betrothal gifts. Otherwise, please take me to the new house to take a look. I will help you see if your daughter-in-law is destined to be a prosperous family." The old lady quickly got up and led the way. It's done, I'll take you to see it." Once she heard that people could even see this, the old lady hurriedly brought people into her son's new house. Actually, it is a new house, but it is just a west-facing room in their courtyard. This house has been simply tidied up, and the earthen bed furniture inside is all old furniture that is not new. Zhang Xiaoxiao pretended to look around, touching here and there, and even pointed and muttered something there. The old lady lowered her head to the side, not daring to look at it. She didn't know what spell the girl was reciting. "Auntie, let me tell you, your daughter-in-law is the destiny of the prosperous family. Not only the prosperous husband, but also the prosperous family. Whoever you marry into will have prosperous children and prosperous family. And I can figure out your daughter-in-law. He has 3 children, the first of whom is a daughter. This child is your family's lucky star and must be born on July 15th of the lunar calendar. Otherwise, the child's luck will be changed, and your family's luck will be over." The old lady was dubious. It was the 15th day of the 7th lunar month. It was half of July. It's Ghost Festival. What kind of good luck can this child have if he is born on this day? He is said to be a lucky star. In her heart, Zhang Xiaoxiao thought that her daughter-in-law was the fate of Wang's husband and the Wang family. She doubted that this girl was a liar. "I want to give her something more in exchange, but I am kidding myself by saying this. Everyone in the village knows that my family is getting a wife, and they have been making a big deal about it for a long time. There is no one in the village who doesn't know." If this girl had asked anyone on the road, she would really know her own situation. It's not surprising that she could tell this. The old lady is quite vigilant. Zhang Xiaoxiao naturally knew that it would not be easy to easily win the old lady's trust with these words. Who could trust her with just 2 sentences? While the two were talking, there was a knock on the door. "Mom, why do you close the door in broad daylight?" When Zhang Xiaoxiao heard the voice, he knew that this was her former husband. The old lady hurriedly opened the door. "What's the weather like, you kid? You're going to the mountains to collect herbs. You don't know that the ground is frozen after the first snowfall in our mountains, but you still insist on going. You're risking your life just to get a wife." A young man was scolded by his mother and couldn't say a word. He saw a young girl following his mother. He was even speechless and didn't even dare to look at others. "Mom, I just went up the mountain to take a look and see if I could pick some herbs. Otherwise, I would be idle this winter. I didn't pick anything, and I even fell down when I was going down the mountain." Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at her former husband in front of her with some ups and downs in her heart. This is the husband when he was young. The husband at this time is still very young. The face was not as cold and numb as when I saw him. At this time, the face of my previous husband still had the immaturity of a young man, and a hint of shyness, but his brows were cheerful. Even with joy and expectation. I feel a little bitter in my heart. Although I had no expectations for marrying this man did not bring me any happiness. Except that the 3 children who finally provided for her in old age belong to this man. Zhang Xiaoxiao actually has no nostalgia for this husband. Perhaps the husband's heart in the previous life died with the death of his wife, but that deep love was not for her, and she had no right to fulfill her obligations for another woman. It happened that her husband married her in her previous life. There was no kindness or enmity between her and him, if it were not for the 3 children. Zhang Xiaoxiao will not come to those 3 children who sincerely treat themselves as mothers and take care of them, those 3 children who have worked hard to raise them. Just think of it as your own merit, so that the 3 children can grow up under the care of their biological parents. It can be regarded as repaying them for their kindness in their previous life. After all, it was these 3 children who finally took care of themselves and died. They had no blood relationship. They always treated their stepmother as their biological mother. It was also because of these 3 children that they made her understand that there is a lot of kindness in the world that is worth cherishing. There is still warmth in this world. Ouch, what is this, old lady? It seems to be ginseng. Zhang Xiaoxiao exclaimed in a low voice. Picked up something from the basket on the ground and held it up to the old lady. The old lady was startled, but when she looked carefully, she saw that it was true. Some people in their village often go up to the mountains to find wild ginseng and the like. There are empty-oriented return, and occasionally someone gets 1.5, which is all high. It is said that if you send it to the purchasing station in the county town, there will be a lot of money. So they have really seen ginseng. This ginseng was taken out of his son's basket. Could it be that this child went up to the mountain to dig ginseng today? Look at the ginseng, which is still covered in soil. It looks like it was just dug out of the ground. Hurriedly took it from Zhang Xiaoxiao's hand carefully as if holding a treasure. The man is dumbfounded. Ginseng. He didn't dig it. But it was obviously taken out of his basket, so who would believe it? Touching his head, he doubtfully guessed that ginseng accidentally fell into his basket when he fell down the mountain. I don't think that ginseng doesn't grow in the soil, so it can just fall off. You can't write a story like this. Old lady, this ginseng looks like a century-old ginseng. The last time I was at the purchasing station in the provincial capital, 50-year-old ginseng was sold for more than 300 yuan. The 100-year-old ginseng should be sold for more. Bar. Zhang Xiaoxiao reminded them to go to the provincial town to sell. There are also purchase stations in the county town, but the price cannot go up. Besides, there are many talkative people here in the county, because this ginseng has brought some trouble to their family. The old lady immediately thought of the serious consequences and hurriedly pulled her son and Zhang Xiaoxiao into the house. Daughter, you have to be more strict about today's matter. You also know that my aunt comes from a poor family. If it is suddenly known that she has dug up such a valuable ginseng, she will not be skinned and eaten by others. Otherwise, you see, aunt will give you the wild goods at home for free, so as not to make your trip in vain. This is to stop Jiang's small mouth. The man is still confused. A little dizzy. The silly look is a bit cute. Zhang Xiaoxiao coughed, pursed her lips and smiled. Auntie, am I right? I said your daughter-in-law. She is from a prosperous family. Look at this person who has just received the marriage certificate with your son and is about to apply for it. Happy news, your family will be prosperous immediately. This is what your family got, and it is your luck. How can I talk about it? Don't worry, I can't take advantage of you. This bag contains 30 kilograms of white flour. Just watch and get me the mountain products. She was meant to be a good person, and this bag of white flour was prepared for them. Otherwise, it would be unreasonable to not even be able to have a meal of white bread when getting married. I can even produce 100-year-old wild ginseng, let alone this little white flour. Those 3 children gave her the most precious affection in the world and provided for her to take care of her until she died. This little effort was worth it. The old lady was full of gratitude. She collected all the dry goods at home and gave them all to Zhang Xiaoxiao. She felt a little bit sorry. The 30 kilograms of white flour I took out were worth a lot of money, but the total of my mountain goods only amounted to 50 or 60 kilograms, so I was still at a loss. Without saying a word, Zhang Xiaoxiao packed all these wild goods together and placed them directly on the rear rack of his bicycle. He winked at the old lady and went out directly. The old lady knew as soon as she saw Zhang Xiaoxiao that she must have something to say to her, and hurriedly sent him out the door. Old lady, treat your daughter-in-law and your grandchildren well. You will be a very lucky person in the future. Zhang Xiaoxiao said a few words, got on his bicycle and ran away. The old lady thought about Zhang Xiaoxiao's words, and then thought about the ginseng her son found after entering the house. The corners of his eyes and eyebrows are filled with joy. This daughter-in-law is really the right wife. It seems that the girl just now is an expert. Look at her front legs, and she just said that the daughter-in-law here belongs to the prosperous family of the prosperous family. His own son can throw out a ginseng when he falls off the mountain. What a blessing it must be. It seems that I have to think carefully about how to treat my son, daughter-in-law, and others in the future. Happily organizing the wedding. The old lady didn't complain at all, not to mention that after this daughter-in-law got married, it turned out to be what the girl predicted. The daughter-in-law's first child was indeed a daughter, and she was counting the days anxiously, fearing that the granddaughter would be born on another day, and it ended up being July 15th. This granddaughter happened to be born on that day. This was their family's lucky star. The old lady was serving delicious food and drinks, for fear that something might be wrong with her daughter-in-law and granddaughter. When my granddaughter was 3 years old, she actually pulled out a box from the Kong hole. It was filled with 300 silver coins. The old lady asked, at the shopping center in the city, one piece costs 10 yuan. That's a full 3,000 yuan. Now they have a daughter-in-law, granddaughters and grandsons, which are the foundation of their family's prosperity. Li Fengxian is in good health and strong, and has not suffered the hardships after the separation. The couple gave birth to 3 children. The 3 children later became doctors and became their golden phoenixes. Everyone envied their family. It was said that the 2 of them would be able to have a baby, and the old lady would remember that her grandchildren were the foundation of the Wang family until her death. The family lived a happy life. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 288. Chapter 288, Door to Door. Zhang Xiaoxiao, Jia Shu, and the others are reviewing intensively and preparing to actively welcome the upcoming college entrance examination. Every day, loudspeakers are broadcasting the news that the college entrance examination system will be fully restored and implemented immediately. The exam will be taken this year and immediately. Anyone can take the exam, and whoever can pass the exam will take it. All the educated youth are boiling. People who used to laugh and bend down when they saw the book once again realized that the opportunity to change their destiny was coming. Nearly everyone is staying up late and working hard, but of course there are some who are calm and relaxed, and are the first to know the news. Jia Shu Hieguo, they are very glad that they never gave up reviewing together. For a time, Chinese language books and mathematics books, which had been abandoned for 10 years, became the most sought-after treasures. On the streets, everyone is talking about the college entrance examination. Like many people who don't let go of the rabbit when they see it, at this time, they have to rely on improvising. These 2 months have been really life-threatening. Zhang Qiaoyang and others are like this. Fang Piashong even wished he could grow up in books. Lu Hongmei was very angry at this time, but she was pregnant now, and her 5-month-old belly was already showing her pregnancy. Let her take the university entrance examination, which really tests her energy. But seeing Fang Piashong working hard there, he tried his best to return to the city. Last time Yehua's arrival not only failed to secure a job spot for Fang Piashong, it even made everyone start to despise Fang Piashong. Everyone thinks that Fang Piashong is too pretentious. Obviously, like everyone else, I just want to pretend to be a senior official. Especially when getting married, Yehua really couldn't bring out anything decent, and everyone knew it. Fang Piashong is not as energetic as he said. It's bitter in Fang Pei's center. He hasn't picked up a book for many years. He prides himself on being a scholar, but he doesn't dare to come blatantly. After all, no one is proud of being an intellectual, and he will not cause trouble for himself. Privately, he has long since lost his books. At most, he only reads some sad poems about spring and autumn. Now when I look at mathematics, physics, and chemistry, my eyes turn black. Day and night, no results were seen. But this is an opportunity to return to the city. Fang Piashong didn't want to miss the opportunity. Lu Hongmei looked at Fang Piashong, who was reading under the lamp, and curled her lips. It's not that she underestimates Fang Piashong, it's really hard to tell given Fang Piashong's level. But if she didn't stop him, there would be no way that Fang Piashong could abandon their mother and son. Fang Piashong really thinks so. Before he married Lu Hongmei, he thought Lu Hongmei was good, knowledgeable, gentle, and considerate. After getting married, Lu Hongmei became pregnant, and the two of them naturally became less intimate. The money allocated to their team this year is not much. Zhang Qiaoyang said that everyone will get as much as they work. The land was divided, but it was divided again. How much income could Fang Piashong and Lu Hongmei earn from the 2 acres of land? They can't even do it if there are too many. You can imagine how tight life is for these two people. Lu Hongmei is still picky. She wants to eat this and that, and she always uses her child as an excuse. Fang Piashong asked his family for money several times. Fortunately, no matter who Yehua wronged, he could not wrong Fang Piashong. He insisted on asking for 50 yuan from Fang Xiaowai. Fang Xiaowai was so angry that her nose almost became crooked. I am still saving up to prepare my own dowry. Grandma is back, and she also has the opportunity to visit from time to time. She saw the old lady preparing a new house. I heard from my aunt that the old lady specifically asked for a welfare house for her apprentice, a medical school professor. With the old lady's qualifications, a house was not too much to ask for, and I heard it was a very famous third-year house. With a bathroom and kitchen. It is the treatment of an expert. The old lady sent someone to clean it up properly, and the aunt was ventilated. The old lady also asked someone to buy the latest 24-inch TV, refrigerator, and washing machine, as well as a sewing machine and tape recorder from the market. The furniture was all made of the latest style. The things at home are all available. I heard that even cotter families cannot prepare such complete things. Fang Xiaowai was very excited. She knew that her thoughts were not in vain. The old lady looked lukewarm, but she still felt sorry for her fiancé Song Mohuan. You can't go empty-handed yourself. Just then, I carefully saved money, but who would have thought that Yehua would come to the door and force him to ask for money? Yehua is now back from the farm, and he doesn't know what kind of stimulation he received. Let yourself go completely without any shame, and yelled and cursed at her. Fang Xiaowai is in trouble because of her status. Even if Yehua was wrong, she couldn't do anything and had to obey him obediently. Otherwise, people would say that she was ungrateful and didn't care at all for her adoptive mother who raised her. She was still hanging around in the medical school. You can't lose a big thing because of a small thing. The problem is that she is not willing to be manipulated by Yehua like this. No money. Fang Xiaowai became even more angry when she thought of this. Besides the Fang family, the only place where she can get money now is the Zhang family. But the last time I had a falling out with Fan Qiuying Zhang. That is absolutely true. How can we get back here? It's all Zhang Xiaoxiu's fault for stealing the love from her parents, otherwise the love and affection given to Zhang Xiaoxiu should have been hers. I don't know if her parents' brains were caught in the door. Leave her, a serious biological child, alone, and instead love an outsider's child. Look at how Yehua treats her. If her parents were as capable as Yehua, would they still have to worry? It's good now that she was angry at other people's homes, but her biological parents treated other people's children better than their own children. It was like this in the last life, and it will still be like this in this life. Fang Xiaowai still hasn't figured it out yet. Zhang Xiaoxiu is still going to be an educated youth, but the situation at home seems to have not changed. No, there are changes. She remembered that at this time in her last life, her parents must have had health problems. It seemed that her mother would get sick this year. When they need money for medical treatment, they come to me. It seems that after getting sick, he was ill for several years and borrowed money from everywhere to seek medical treatment. No. I have to ask her family to come up with the money before her mother falls ill, otherwise she will wait until her mother is really ill and is hospitalized. If you want to take out this money again, it will be as difficult as going to heaven. Fang Xiaowai bought 2 kilograms of apples. Apples are very valuable in this weather. Always put on a show. Fang Xiaowai went to Fan Qiuying's small courtyard. Fan Qiuying was discussing with Zhang Lishi in the room. Two people took a fancy to a yard not far from them. Although it is a bungalow, the environment is very good. I heard that it was lived by an old professor. Especially bookish. Zhang Lishi and Fan Qiuying visited it and found that the house was clean. They just needed to tidy it up a little and they would be able to live in it when their two children came back. Fan Qiuying considered that this house was close to them. If Zhang Xiaoxiao gave birth to a child in the future, they would be able to take care of her nearby and save the children from running away. They guessed that the Song family would definitely prepare something for Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others, but the Song family belonged to the Song family, and the Zhang family belonged to the Zhang family. The things they prepared belonged to their daughter, and their daughter was not at a loss anyway. It is also regarded as a dowry for a daughter. The couple are discussing the price. This house is not cheap. Old professor, this is not just about being rehabilitated, and then feeling tired and wanting to follow your son to live abroad. I want to dispose of the house here, but it is impossible to sell it cheaply. The old couple have done a really good job in cleaning up this house. The floors in that house are all covered with wooden floors. Putting it in a house like theirs, that house would be really high-end. They wanted 8,000 yuan. The couple discussed it for a long time, and Zhang Xiaoxiao gave them the money. It was not impossible to get the 8,000 yuan. However, after buying a house, they also wanted to pack up all the furniture and appliances in the house. I was wondering if I could negotiate a concession on the price. I couldn't spend all the money my daughter gave me at once. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 289. Chapter 289 Misunderstanding. Fang Xiaowai came suddenly and walked in directly. I heard what the couple said. His father's house, you can discuss it with Professor Zhang and see if you can get it cheaper by 1,000 yuan. If it's 7,000 yuan, we'll buy it. I'm thinking about tidying up the house and preparing the furniture and appliances, all this costs at least 8 to 9,000 yuan. Although I don't say that I'm a good match at the moment, after all, my daughter married into the Song family, so at least we can't be too far behind. We must prepare this dowry carefully and not embarrass our daughter. Fang Xiaowai had a meal, Song family, daughter, dowry. This is not just about her. My heart is filled with joy. Could it be that her parents prepared a dowry for her? Or a house? 8 to 9,000 yuan. God, she really didn't expect her parents to have such a fortune, 8 or 9,000. I am so excited that I cannot hide my feelings. There was a bright smile on the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were filled with joy. Could it be that their family is also a landlord's family? Capitalist. It's not right. Unlikely. But no matter what, she was extremely excited. Who dares to look down on her when she goes to the Song family like this? Her natal family is very capable, and her husband's family also values her, making anyone who looks at her envious. Mom and Dad, I'm back. Happy voice, with a gentleness and consideration that has never been seen before. As soon as Zhang Lishi heard this voice, his face darkened. What this daughter did to his wife last time, he didn't hear about it until he came back, but he was also angry in his heart. Although they have not raised this daughter, the problem is that since her return, the couple has done their best to treat her daughter and want to give her warmth and affection. After all, this is their own biological child. Although they have not raised him for a day, they know from the bottom of their hearts that this child is not easy. After knowing their life experience, they suddenly fell from the sky to the earth. This feeling is unpleasant to anyone. but the problem is that they use them as a credit union. Looking at what was done and what they said, although the couple didn't want to think about their daughter like this, they still couldn't help but feel that it wasn't because they raised her that they were not close to each other. I haven't seen Xiao Xiao. Although he is not their biological child, Xiao Xiao has never shown any face to them after so many years of pampering. Comparing them, Xiao Xiao is a considerate little cotton-padded jacket. Comparing the two daughters like this, it would be strange to say that their hearts are not biased. Fang Xiaowai did not regard them as her biological parents, nor did she think about them. There was not even a trace of tenderness in front of them that they could remember. Fan Xiuying clapped her husband's hand and sighed. The couple knew in their hearts that no matter what, this was their biological daughter. Is it possible to really argue with or get angry with your children? They are all very old, how long can they live? No matter what, both children are victims in this matter. No matter what the truth of the matter is, they cannot put this temper on their children. These children are still young and will inevitably have their own tempers and ideas. They may take the wrong path or take detours, but this does not mean that they have to argue with their children. Welcome him out with a smile. Xiaowai, you're back. Come in quickly. Fang Xiaowai showed a sincere smile for the first time, came up directly with an apple in her hand, and held Fan Xiuying's arm with her hand. The affectionate and warm attitude made Fan Xiuying feel a little excited all of a sudden. She couldn't react. When did this girl become so close to her? Mom, I miss you and my dad. I will buy some fruit and come back to see you. Are you still angry with me because of what I said last time? My daughter was wrong. I was angry at that time and spoke indiscriminately. You won't break up with me because of that, right? When Fang Xiaowai has a good attitude, she is very good at speaking human words. Fan Xiuying actually wants to get along well with her daughter. After all, she is her biological daughter. What nonsense are you talking about? Parents don't care about their children that much. Come on in, your dad is in the house. You came as soon as you came, why bother spending that money? What little do you earn? Money is not easy, don't waste it all, always save some money for yourself and keep it for yourself. Fang Xiaowai smiled and didn't reply, and she didn't even feel the slightest disgust at what her parents said. In the past, she felt that her parents were worried about her salary. But now that she knew her parents' plans, she suddenly felt that her parents probably really thought about her when they said this. Mom, I haven't honored you since I came back. Buying something is a little bit of my kindness. Don't worry, I will remember your words. Saving money well in the future will definitely not worry you. Even Zhang Lishi was impressed by this daughter. This child has really changed. Come on, come in and sit down quickly. Fang Xiaowai entered the room and sat there talking affectionately to her parents. She caught a glimpse of the small book her mother put on the Kong table. The numbers written in the book and the pictures drawn are easy to understand at a glance. I guess I was also looking at the design of that house, and suddenly I felt a little happy. No matter what, Zhang Xiaoxiao was not born to his own parents. With these benefits, he will naturally give them to himself, allowing Zhang Xiaoxiao to be a master all day long. Fan Xiuying made a special trip to the supply and marketing cooperative at noon to buy some ribs from her brother. After stewing a pot of ribs, the kid looked so skinny that he could fall over if the wind blew. The family had a good meal, not to mention Fang Xiaowai's flattery. The atmosphere of this family of three getting along is quite good. Even Fan Xiuying Zhang honestly felt that her daughter had changed a lot. Fang Xiaowai told her parents that they had decided to get married on May Day. In fact, it is a disguised form of telling parents that there is no need to worry too much, just clean up the house before that time. Fan Xiuying and Zhang Lishi asked Fang Xiaowai carefully about the situation at home. It's not that the couple didn't believe the old lady, but after all, Fang Xiaowai married Song Moding's stepmother's family. if this stepmother is really a kind person. Why did Song Moding have no contact with the stepmother at all? This proves that there are some twists and turns in the process. It's hard for the two of them to say anything, but if the other party Zai isn't worried, it must be a lie. But I saw this daughter happily talking about how wonderful her future husband's family was and how kind her fiancé was to her. The couple couldn't say anything. Originally I wanted them to meet their future in-laws. But Fang Ziyi never mentioned this. The couple can't tell. After all, Fang Ziyi is now a member of the Fang family, and her parents are Fang Ziwen and Yehua. The couple are considered cotters. The couple can't do anything about it and can't get on the stage. I'm afraid my daughter doesn't want to let the Song family know that they are her biological parents. Send Fang Ziyi away. Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi discussed. After all, the child is their biological child, so it is impossible for the child to get married. They have not shown any sign of it. The couple thought for a while and took out 1,000 yuan of the money they had saved before. They thought that 1,000 yuan could buy a lot of things, and at least the dowry from the woman's family would be decent. The two of them were a little ashamed that the 1,000 yuan was still spent on their own money. The little money the couple saved was not enough to buy a dowry. Originally, the remaining money from the gold bars was agreed to be divided into 1,000 yuan each, but Fang Ziyi was not included at that time. The 10,000 yuan Zhang Xiaoxiao gave them would only have a few hundred to 1,000 yuan left after buying the yard and buying things. The couple thought that they should give the money to Fang Ziyi first, and then pay the money back to their daughter after the couple saves money in the future. Still no money. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 290. Chapter 290. Poor little guy. Fang Ziyi returned to her dormitory happily. She is a student of the health school. Still an excellent student. A person who will be a head nurse in the future. This time she is proud. I can be considered a person with a net worth of tens of thousands. The classmates in the dormitory couldn't help but curl their lips when they saw Fang Ziyi. This Fang Ziyi is always very arrogant and always talks about how her fiancé's family is so powerful. Made everyone very unhappy. But no one wants to offend Fang Ziyi. Fang Ziyi was admitted to the medical school because of her connections. Someone found out that Fang Ziyi was really sent here through connections with the Song family. Ziyi, why are you so happy today? Do you have any good things to share with all of us? Fang Ziyi is so proud that it's okay to show off. There's nothing happy about it. I'm not going back to my biological parents. My parents. They feel guilty for treating me all these years. This time I got married and went bankrupt to help me prepare a dowry and buy it for me. I bought a house and tidied it all up. It is said that if I stay closer to my parents' home, it will be more convenient for me to go back and forth to my parents' home in the future, and it can also help me take care of the children. I feel a little sad in my heart. I have grown up in other people's homes for so many years and have never shown any filial piety to my parents, but they are really devoted to me. Fang Ziyi couldn't believe it in her heart as she wiped away her tears with false affection. This never happened in my previous life. Could it be that the Zhang family and his wife were hiding something secret in their last life? It's not right. It is impossible to risk your own life even if you hide something secret. You are waiting for death, and you don't take any money to save your life. Fang Ziyi thought about it and couldn't figure it out. But no matter what, it is quite a surprise to have these dowries. Things are developing in a direction that is beneficial to her, and the current development is a good thing that she likes to see. Fang Ziyi has nothing to do with the rest. Others are extremely envious. In an instant, many people gathered around him. A lot of questions. Fang Ziyi, aren't you saying that your biological parents are stingy people who prefer the child they raised? Why will they prepare a dowry for you, or a house? Yes, Ziyi, Are your parents so kind? Zai. Your adoptive parents didn't prepare it for you. You said it was your biological parents. Fang Zai sighed, looking really embarrassed. Hey, it's my biological parents. I used to think they were partial. I didn't expect that in their hearts they still treat me as their biological daughter. After all, I am their biological daughter. The blood relationship cannot be separated, and that person is still an outsider no matter what. Do you want to pay attention to blood? The most painful thing in my parents is me. Some time ago, I often spoke ill of my parents. Now he has changed his tune. That child is too pitiful. His biological parents don't want to see you, and his adoptive parents also miss you. Isn't that too pitiful? Under Fang Zaiwai's propaganda, everyone knew that Yehua and Zhang Xiaoxiao had severed their relationship. Fang Zaiwai felt happy because she just wanted to see Zhang Xiaoxiao miserable. She had no idea that she had been deceived by Yehua. Yehua never revealed a single word when he came back that Zhang Xiaoxiao was marrying into the Song family. Yehua had his own little plan and told Fang Zaiwai, how could he ask for money so smoothly? At that time, Fang Zaiwai might be jealous of Zhang Xiaoxiao and blame everything on Zhang Xiaoxiao. Yehua is also bully and afraid of the strong. She fought against Zhang Xiaoxiao several times but got no benefit. People don't have enough food and salt. Do not eat anything soft or hard. Anyway, if you want to pluck the hair out of Zhang Xiaoxiao, it would be better for her to get entangled with Fang Zaiwai. It is absolutely impossible for Zhang Xiaoxiao to give her a penny. He also doesn't recognize his relatives. I don't have any reason to stand up yet. But Fang Zaiwai is different, Fang Zaiwai owes her. It is not a dream for someone who grew up eating at their house and still wants to be clean. I know Fang Zaiwai very well. This daughter is petty-minded. If she knew that Zhang Xiaoxiao was actually better married than her, and her heart would be unbalanced, she would naturally not want to be blackmailed by her again. Yehua would not let go of the money tree, and he would keep it secret every day. Fang Zaiwai is really still complacent, thinking that she is more powerful than in her previous life, but Zhang Xiaoxiao is still trampled under her feet. Hey, that little Zhang has such a temper. There is nothing we can do about it. I also hope that my parents can treat her better. But who told me that those are my biological parents? They are constantly separated by blood. Father Fang and Mother Fang don't like her, and there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried to persuade her, but she doesn't listen and always thinks I want to harm her. In the end I couldn't help it. Many people sneered and said it nicely, but you are not a good person. What a good idea. But I'm envious. Hey, by the way, where did your parents buy you a house? It's near my parents. I heard that the small yard is very nice. It costs 8,000 yuan. My parents are also thinking about decoration and electrical appliances. The total cost is at least 10,000 yuan. I don't want them to spend money. But my parents said. They have been sorry to me over the years and cannot let my in-laws look down on me in my marriage. The house my in-laws bought belongs to my in-laws' family and my natal family belongs to my natal family. They always want me to hold my head high and behave in my in-laws' house in the future. Our family is an ordinary family, but we will not treat our daughter badly. Many people are upset. Who would spend a lot of money on their daughter? It's a daughter. However, the Zhang family did the opposite. Zaiwai, you are so lucky. Hey, if my parents were half as good as your parents, I would laugh it's destiny. Stop talking about it, I'm getting married, my parents gave me a bicycle as a wedding gift compared with you now, it's as big as the sky or the earth. You married so well, it's really enviable. Your mother-in-law's family also values you so much Zaiwai, you really fell into a bad nest. Little sister, every word you say to me makes Fang Zaiwai drift away instantly. Fang Zaiwai loved vanity in her last life, otherwise she would never be able to do it again in this life. She immediately changed her direction and found the Song family. Still the same now. Don't envy me. In fact, everyone is the same. It's just that my parents feel sorry for me and want to compensate me. You say it, but the expression on your face is actually different. Others talked about the excitement for a long time, and Fang Xiaowai went to call Song Mohuan. Song Mohuan is an intern at an eye hospital in northern Beijing, and the two of them talk on the phone from time to time. Fang Xiaowai wanted to tell her fiancé the news. Song Mohuan was indeed very happy when he heard this. Their family's conditions are not bad, and he doesn't care whether Fang Xiaowai has a dowry or not. But Fang Xiaowai's family prepared such a generous dowry to show her dignity. At least no one will start talking and dislike Fang Xiaowai. He felt from the bottom of his heart that Fang Xiaowai was a good choice for the Zhang family. No matter what, I didn't know about it all these years. If I knew, I would love my children well. From now on, no matter what you say, you must be filial to your father-in-law and mother-in-law. This is a serious mother-in-law. I didn't see Yehua's face, or the Cotter family, and actually loved his fortune, which really made him look down on him. The two of them talked sweetly. Song Mohuan called his parents after hanging up the phone. Report the news. Mother Song was surprised when she heard this. She didn't expect that her daughter-in-law's family would have such courage. Compared with Yehua, she was really different. It seems that in order to get along well with the Zhang family in the future, it is not about money but about the heart. End of this chapter.